What's up, everybody? We are your hosts. I'm Terry. This is BJ, Jareer, and we are the Warm Up Podcast. And today, we're going to do something a little bit differently than what we normally do for the first part, at least. A lot of people give presentations the past few weeks about various types of schools and whether it's urban, public, et cetera, et cetera. And thinking because all three of us here, we all went from going to public schools our whole life to then going into ninth grade and then making the transition into a private school. I started to think about our experiences in those schools and like how it could be better for kids like us. And for those of you who don't know, the Ed Choice Scholarship Program, according to the Ohio Department of Education website, is a program that provides students from underperforming public schools the opportunity to attend participating private schools. I mean, private schools blow the public schools out the water in every single category. I mean, you can name the subject: writing, math, reading, science, civics, geography. Doesn't matter. Like, there is a significant um, decrease in scores when you look at the public school kids. And then even when you look at the poll on the website for parent satisfaction at the private schools, it's significantly higher than they would be at their district schools and even a charter. So before I even get into the program itself and like my grand idea for it, since like I said, like all three of us can like have our own like personal experience with this type of deal. So I'm gonna let these two just kind of like speak about how it was for them going from public school. 'Cause, like, we all came from the same city. We all came from Euclid Public Schools.
I guess you both could like talk about this is like the grade adjustment. I guess the grading scale
Hmm.
was definitely different,
Oh yeah.
and what was like 94% or 93% to was an A minus.
Hmm.
So like I went from like a 3.8 student to like a I didn't really like I didn't study anything like that. I went to like a 3.0 just because
Right. So like
all those were B plus.
the culture part for you wasn't
Wasn't
like
really any
drastic.
different.
It was more so like academic stuff, right?
Yeah, it
Like
was more
getting used to it.
academic wise.
It was 100% a different dynamic coming from a middle school that's probably 90% black. And then you go to a high school where I think by our junior or senior year, it was probably a 2%
Yeah, I'd say somewhere
black
around
student body. And when, at that point in time, by the time we're seniors, we were the representation for black students in the high school because, the biggest thing is in when you go to a school district that's pretty diversified as far as culture, there's always somebody who you can go and have conversations with about certain things, or you can always seek guidance from. Not necessarily the guidance counselor, but just someone in the building that you can lean on, or even maybe like an older student or something like that. Uh, but going to a private school or a Catholic school that didn't really have that, everything was
I
different.
mean, my experience is pretty much. I mean, it's similar. I mean, obviously, we went from the same junior high, so. And I guess the weird part is that my family is half like white. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that like I only deal with like the black side of my family, and I only went to school with really just black people in like an urban setting, then having to go to a high school in the middle of the country, which is like 100 something acre campus, etc. Like that was like new world. I didn't know what to expect. Like it was mostly cultural for me, really. Like the academic part I picked up pretty quickly, but like just trying to get used to being around a certain like tax bracket, like it was weird. Seriously, turning 16 and like everybody got a car, like you know what I mean? Like where did
Like
they do
fast
that
money
at? Like I
too.
wasn't used to that. So it was just something that I struggled with really the whole time I was there, to be honest with you. But like when you look at some of the stats from like the NCES, like they have a bunch of stats on enrollment for private schools, and like over the past 20 years, there's been like a steady decline, really, in kids going to private schools. And I mean, a lot of it's just how much they cost and economy, etc. So like the ed choice thing was I guess like supposed to kind of be twofold, and getting the like enrollment numbers back up at private schools, which also trying to extend access to these schools to kids from like underperforming districts, right? So in theory, it's a good idea, but if you're going to take these kids from these low to like moderate income neighborhoods and put them in these private schools. Like you need to be able to, talk to them. Like there needs to be like support for them. You just can't just put them in there in this new like fishbowl and just expect them to just, like blend in, So that's what that kind of like leads me into like what my plan is. And it's three tiered. So essentially the plan is to, I mean, in a nutshell, ingratiate these students, but it starts with tier one, and tier one is essentially a transition team that forms in the summer leading into ninth grade for these kids from the, like I said, the low to moderate income and minority students. So essentially, voucher kids, right? So the transition team is basically there as to provide these students with like supplemental materials, etc., to get them ready for the start of the school year, to like get them up to speed, let them know like where they need to be, where they're expected to be starting school, and also gives them representatives for their families to speak with and ask questions before the school year even starts. Voice their concerns, etc. And the second part is, besides like an actual like orientation for the students, there needs to be a supplemental orientation for those students as well. So basically this particular orientation is focused on, again, like those voucher kids, the minority kids who are coming over to this like private setting now. And basically this is just to focus on like aspects or topics that pertain really to them, like concerns that they may have, like getting acclimated, whether it be socially, academic, etc., and to provide them with like certain tools and resources to the students to kind of like aid them along. Again, kind of tying into the whole like transition team theme. The third tier is the minority support and outreach in the guidance office. So we already talked about the fact that we didn't have it at our school, and it'd be nice to have somebody that, kind of looked like us, kind of understood us and where we came from, kind of came from the same place, and could help us through, transitioning to this new setting, these new expectations, new environment, etc. To somebody that can, talk to our parents, kind of give them like updates, that can talk to administration on our behalf, or just somebody that we can ask questions to, express our concerns, or if we just want to have a conversation, we can go talk to them. So I feel like that would be the most important. We need to have, well, this plan would include a office inside of the guidance office that is, specifically designated for that. That's their sole job of this counselor in this office, is to deal with these kids that, these, I guess you could say like these ed choice voucher kids, or like the kids that come from these, or even if they're not, they're just like, let's say like they're just merit based, but they come from underserved areas. So they need somebody that they can talk to. So that is my three-tier plan, like I said. And with that being said, like I like to get you guys' thoughts on, how you feel about the plan. Like, will it work? Is it a good idea? Would it have helped you when when you made the transition? So
I think it's a really strong idea. We looked at a survey, or not a survey, but we saw one stat on the internet the other day that said between, or no, it wasn't even a stat, but it was just a question that said between kindergarten and the point in time that you graduated high school or college, how many black male teachers did you have in school with you? And I confidently said zero.
yeah.
Um, I think having that would just, it would ease the gap for, again, a lot of minority students who are coming into a fresh faced environment where, somebody who's been there, that's actually been where that's actually been where you've been, can assist you and, just,
That looks like you, that knows where you're coming from, that can tell you what you're going to go through, what is going to happen, and how you should prepare for it, how you can beat it, and how you can succeed from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we should work on. And like I said, if we're going to continue to put these kids who, I mean, I'm happy that they get the chance to leave a struggling, underperforming district and go to a private school. I mean, we can attest to the value of like a private, education. But if you're going to do that, you have to have a way to acclimate these kids